Welcome to Talk Wargaming, everyone. In this video I'll be taking a look at this week's White Dwarf instalment. On the cover of this issue we have the shot of the Void Shield Generator terrain piece, which we'll no doubt be seeing more of throughout the issue. So looking at the new release section, we can see that there will be a lot of new products hitting shelves next week. This even includes miniatures from the Hobbit. So starting with the 40k releases, we have two new scenery pieces, the Void Shield Generator and the Quake Cannon Craters. There's also a physical copy of the Clan Ryokan, I think that's the correct pronunciation, supplements which is being released, and we also have quite a lot of Hobbit stuff as well, which will be covered in the next few pages. So next up we have some more in-depth looks at the upcoming releases, starting with the Void Shield Generator. Now if you're looking to get one of these, you'll be sadly disappointed as they have sold out already. There's only 1,000 of these available. I think the rather small but limited release probably points to Games Workshop maybe cautiously testing out Polystone as a possible new material. But just looking at the pictures, the kit does look very nicely detailed, but I'm just not a huge fan of the design. The columns here look like sonic screwdrivers, and I think there's just a little bit too much going on, but that's just my opinion. So here we have the Quake Cannon Craters, which replace the old Moonscape ones. I really like the look of these. The battlefield debris on them really adds character. What's also useful is that each of these can actually be split into two parts, and you can then use them as barricades. Next up are the Hobbit releases, and we begin with Bjorn and his bear form. Although I'm not a Hobbit player, I think the Born model looks excellent, and I'm just not as keen on the bear's pig snout though. Over here we have Girion, Lord of Dale, who is an ancestor of Bard the Bowman. The Hobbit releases continue with a more combat-posed Thranduil, Telidriel Mirkwood Elves, and also some evil releases in the form of the GUNDABAD Orcs. Here we have the Captain, and over here we have the Swordsman and the Spearman. I very much do like the armour style on these. It's very reminiscent of the Uruk-hai from the Lord of the Rings films. So finally, for the new release spotlight, we move on to the books and the e-books. We have the Clan Ryokan Codex supplement there. We have a Tyranid Onslaught data slate and Path of the Archon, which is a third in the trilogy for Andy Chambers' Dark Elder trilogy. And in our final release, we see Gotrek and Felix take on the Tomb Kings in the Serpent Queen. So that's it for the new release spotlight, and now we move on to the articles. First up, we have a Hobbit battle report, which I think is the first Hobbit article since the start of the new White Dwarf format. So it's nice to see them getting a mention here. The battle report recreates the scene in the film where the dwarves escape in the barrels down the river, as you can see in the pictures here, and we have a few more over there. The next article will give you some pointers on not only getting the most out of your Imperial Knights, but also how to tackle one when it comes up against you. We have a number of suggestions from each of the different writers here, but my favourite suggestion is to double them up. I mean, after all, most people have a strategy to deal with one, but if you bring two, you're going to be pouring cold water onto their plans. On the next page, we have another Hobbit article. This time it covers Bjorn and how to best utilise him in games. Now, my gaming knowledge on the Hobbit is a little rusty, but by far the most interesting feature is that he essentially has two models, being able to turn into the bear form mid-game. At this point, he kind of becomes pretty much unstoppable and can pretty much decimate anything that's in his way. So there's no sprues and glue article this week, just a paint splatter on how to paint the new Quake Cannon Craters. There are some nice tips on how to achieve the rust and weathering effects. What is interesting on this page is the next week box in the bottom corner. The Into the Tempest clearly confirms a new Militarum Tempestus force, which will be available for pre-order next weekend. For the final main article of this week, it's Designer's Notes. Here Dave Andrews discusses new 40k terrain pieces, the Void Shield Generator and also the Quake Cannon Craters over there. On the next few pages we have This Week in the White Dwarf, and with a number of mini articles, this page features a number of Hobbit related ones. Most notable is a correction to the Desolation of Smaug rulebook, which states that GUNDABAD orcs carry pikes when in fact they carry spears. The next page has the Reader's Model of the Week and also the Ask Grombrindle. We have a little mini paint tutorial there, so the Reader's Model. And we have the Bit of the Week, which is the Pulse Pistol. On the very last few pages, we have a rather nicely painted Elder Wraith Knight from one of the guys in the White Dwarf bunker. Over here we have a preview for next week's issue, but there is no definitive mention of the Militarum Tempestus here, just that there will be new miniatures. And finally, we are left with a shot of the Space Marines fighting Elder over some of the new Quake Cannon Craters. It was nice to see some Hobbit-related articles for a change in this issue. Although they are the least popular of the three systems, I do feel that limiting their exposure will not help their popularity. I think this issue retained a nice mix of articles, although it still mainly focuses on the new releases of the week, and there was little else beyond this. Still not a bad issue overall, especially if you are a fan of The Hobbit. So that was our review of White Dwarf Weekly issue 8. If you would like to see more reviews, news and tutorials, please visit our website talkwargaming.com. There will be a link in the description. We also have a Twitter, Facebook, which will also be linked to down there. So thanks for watching and goodbye.